Hello friends, today we the members of group number 55 are here to represent our poster on topic Blue Brain. Today RIYA is here to briefly introduce the topic. Human brain is the most valuable creation of God. Imagine what will happen if we create a brain and upload the contents of natural brain into it. So, the question may arise, is it really possible to create a human brain? The answer is surely yes. Today, it is possible due to technology. Technology is growing faster than everything possible today. IBM is now in research to create a virtual brain. It is called Blue Brain, which is the first comprehensive attempt to create a synthetic brain. This Blue Brain project was founded in May 2005 by Henry Mark at the EPFL in Switzerland. The Blue Brain project is named Blue Brain as it makes use of Blue Gene supercomputer developed by IBM to carry out simulations. The main aim is to create an artificial brain to upload a human brain into a computer so that it can think, make decisions based on the past experience and responds as natural brain without the actual presence of human body for the development of the society. This technology uses nanobots for the supercomputer. It has huge amount of storage capacity, processing power and interface between human brain and artificial one. Through this interface, the data stored in the natural brain can be uploaded into the computer. So, the brain and knowledge, intelligence of anyone can be kept and used forever, even after the death of a person.
What are actually the functions of blue brain? You might be wondering after the introduction given by Riya Sethi. So here I am, VANSHIKA, to actually introduce you to the functions of a blue brain. As we know that the blue brain is actually made to take place of a normal brain, hence it has to perform all the normal functions of a simple brain like thinking, memory, taking decisions, understanding and communicating with others, and hence that would make blue brain very efficient if it is able to do all the work. So how would we in future be able to accomplish all of these tasks? So the blue brain will actually be able to communicate via the use of artificial intelligence. The live examples of such communication taking place right now are Siri and Alexa, which are very commercially used in the market, and hence we can see that it is a very practical alternative to actually having a brain that can communicate. Next, the blue brain would be able to take decisions on its own. How can a blue brain take decisions? It can happen via the neural networks we create using algorithms and machine learning in order to actually have effective decision making capabilities. Moving on, the main function of the brain is to store a lot of memory, and hence we can store memory in our blue brain via the use of registers. What will happen is that we can actually load into a human's memory into the blue brain. That can be done in the future, and hence we can use a person's intelligence, knowledge and his own memory after its own death, and hence it will be possible for us to download a person after death, and its knowledge can be used after its death also to develop and make new technologies for the mankind. Moving forward, I have explained all the possible ways in which the blue brain can be or can function like a natural brain. So the blue brain that will come forward in future would be able to communicate, make decisions on its own, have a memory and think on its own as well. The major technologies that we will be using to achieve such a result would be the Blue Gene, which is a supercomputer that has been developed by IBM. The Blue Gene will actually be used to interface the brain and make virtual images of the brain. And hence the Blue Gene, just like the way we have brain, it will have a lot of processing power and a lot of memory as well. The second main thing that we will be using in order to make a blue brain would be nanobots. That would be discussed in the later section by HITARTH.
Hello friends, I am Hitarth and I am going to tell you about the most important part, that is the heart of the blue brain. It is necessary to describe the basic manner in which a person may be uploaded into a computer. A famous scientist, Raymond recently provided an interesting paper on this topic. In it, he described both invasive and non-invasive techniques. And the most assuring technique among them was the use of tiny robots or nanobots, as they are small enough to travel the human circulatory system. By moving into the spine and brain, these robots will be able to monitor the activities of the central nervous system. The required thing is a computer with huge storage space and processing power. The basic parts of nanobots are a main mechanical arm, rotors, sensors, and micro cameras. These nanobots function in three steps. In the first step, they are to be injected into the bloodstream. These devices would navigate the human vasculature, cross the blood-brain barrier, and precisely auto-position themselves among or even within the brain cells. Lastly, they would then wirelessly transmit the information they acquire to cloud-based computers for effective extraction of information. And last step, which is not always necessary, is the destruction of these nanobots. These nanobots will be able to provide an interface with computers that is as close as our mind can be while we still reside in a biological form. Nanobots could also carefully scan the structure of our brain and thus provide a complete readout of the connections. This information, when entered into a computer, could then continue to function as us. Thus, the data stored in the entire brain will be uploaded into the computer. That is about the heart of the blue brain technology, that is the nanobot.
Hello friends, I am DEBARJYA and I am going to do a brief comparison between natural and simulated brain. I am going to compare a few basic parts of that is necessary in the brain's processes. These are input, output, input, interpretation, output, memory, and processing. First is input. In a natural brain, electrical impulses are received by neurons and sent to the brain for interpretation. Similarly, in a simulated brain, the electrical impulse is received by artificial neurons which are made of silicon, and the received information is sent to the supercomputer for interpretation. Next is interpretation. In a natural brain, electrical impulses are interpreted by the certain states of many neurons, whereas simulated brain interpretation is done by a set of registers. The different values in the registers will represent the different states of the brain. Come to memory. In a natural brain, memory is stored by forcing neurons to remember certain states of the brain permanently. Memory storage in simulated brain is quite similar to natural brain, as we can program the registers to store the required state permanently. Lastly, we have processing. In a natural brain, logical and arithmetical calculations are done by our neural circuitry. The past experiences stored and the current input received are used, and the state of the certain neurons are changed to give the output. In a similar way, the decision making can be done by the computer by using some sorted states and the received input, and by performing some arithmetic and logical calculations.
Greetings everyone, I Raman. I am going to explain you about the advantages and disadvantages of the blue brain technology. A major advantage of this tech is that it can remember things without any effort. Further, decision making can be done without the presence of a person. It will be able to make decisions on its own. Improvements in processing, speed, and memory could make the entire human brain simulated. The nanobots can not only send data about the brain, but can also be employed for certain other purposes, such as allowing the deaf to hear via direct nerve stimulations, or act as carriers for certain antidotes of diseases. Further, it can be used to make optimal use of intelligence of a person after death. Animal brains can be uploaded as well, which can be used to understand the activities, behaviors, and emotions of animals by interpreting the electrical impulses from their brains. By combining data of humans around the world, a working model of human brain can be made, which can be very useful in research, but it has its own set of disadvantages as well. We become largely dependent on computers. Further, this vast amount of knowledge, if wrongly used, can have consequences hitherto undreamt of. This is very costly procedure and the hardware requirements like the nanobots and supercomputers to store and process this huge amount of data can be very costly. Computer viruses in these systems can be lethal to a person to a life of a person, and data losses can be unrecoverable. The assemble process allows neuroscientists investigate scientific questions by integrating the available experimental data and evaluating hypotheses of network dynamics and neural function. So, in the end, I would like to say that the blue brain technology has immeasurable scope in the future and the technology is going to revolutionize the world. Thanks.